Welcome back to Cash Shoulder YouTube channel. As usual, I've got with me my student Umar. How are you? Good. In today's video, what we'll be doing, the last section of AZ-400, which will be implement an instrumentation strategy. So basically, so we have gone through all the modules such as source control, processes, communications, implement and design, um, CI/CD pipeline, implement design, release pipeline, packaging, deployment, security and compliance. The last section is instrumentation strategy, in which you will be monitoring all this application and performance and alerting and everything, such as we'll be using Azure Monitor, and in Azure Monitor we'll be using um, application side, clearing alerts for resources and things like that. Yeah, right. So let's have a quick look at the Azure monitoring service. So this is our Azure portal, and say for example, I have a resource group. Excuse me. In resource group, I've got these resources in there. Let me delete this action RG. I should have deleted that before. Action RG. We don't need this. Right. So if I go to my virtual machine and say, for example, we want to set up and check the activity and monitoring services on this resource group, or anything in this resource group, we can monitor that. So in our case, we'll check for Azure Virtual Machine. So let's me duplicate that. Right, and so if I search for monitor, go to monitor, and so this is our dashboard. So you can see in that application side, you can also monitor containers, virtual machine side, network inside. Then you see the metrics, alerts. We will do afterwards. Say, for example, say for example, I want to set up some metrics for our resource which we choose. So, for example, in that case, we have got this resource group and unplug that. So we choose, say for example, we want this virtual machines. Yeah, if we click up, so this is our virtual machine, click apply, and so we have defined which resource you're going to be looking at it. Then the metric space, which is already by default virtual machine host, and metrics, say for example CPU usage, percentage CPU usage. Aggregation, we are choosing average, and we say add metrics. So you can see that because we just recently turned this on about this time, and you can see this is our um, metric uh, showing for the percentage of CPU, which is about 40% of usage. Yeah. So as you can see that the CPU percentage up to here. Say for example, if we launch an application just to see the CPU increase on it while this is doing that, and it will create an activity that we have launched something in application. So, say for example, we launch this. If we refresh it, see it's a little bit 36, and so it takes about a few seconds or something to accommodate while we run just to run also launch Visual Studio to see. While this is launching, as you can see that we can create rule here, we can drill into logs, activity logs, VM insights, line, we can have a chart like which you want, like a bar chart. See, you can bar chart, and you can have uh, area chart like this. See, the CPU is 98, gone to 98 now because it is launching a Visual Studio. See that it's gone high, and we can also see. So at the moment it is doing 24 hours, and every 5 minutes is refreshing the data and getting the stats. So this is the metric we're monitoring, average percentage CPU usage for this VM machine. You can change the name if you want to, and we can add more metrics if it's for the same machine. So this time, say we want say some network out network in total. See, and so we got. So if you do in line chart, so percentage, this is your, and this is your network. This is if you go to bar chart, where is it gone? We did not save it. Right, so you can see that we got two metrics. One is for percentage usage, and one is network in total. So at the moment is hardly any network percentage, so we're not seeing anything. So it's just like flat line. You can see that it's just a flat line. But with the percentage, you can see that it's gone to nearly 76% because of this running. So if you close, because you open twice, that's why. So just close that. It will should reduce it. We can also save it to dashboard. We can pin to dashboard. This is our chart type. You can already configure accordingly. We'll see this in detail. Also, one of the good things is that you can do activity log. So you can have a span of, say this is for last 6 hours. You can do, say for example, for last week, apply, and you can see that like 10 minutes ago when we remember when we started this video, we deleted a resource group, and we so the operation was this, and that was the resource groups in JSON. So it's telling us that in more detail what has been deleted, our IP address who was logged in, so to it in detail, so you can extract everything. Also, we can do like we try. So sometime it fails things. So we try to delete this backup on this date, and it failed. So you can have explain to you everything, and you can troubleshoot accordingly. So we just had a quick look at the Azure monitoring services. Now we will just do a kind of a lab um, to setting up an alert in Azure Monitor. Is that okay? Hello, Umar? Right. So we had a just quick look at the Azure Monitor, like showing the alert, CPU usage, creating a scope, activity monitoring activity, and stuff like that. Yeah. Now we're gonna do like set up an alert. It's like a lab. We'll set up an alert in Azure monitoring. Yeah. So if we just go to our portal and just go to search for monitoring again. Right. Right. Okay. And see. Go to alerts and we say create an alert. I'll just call it create alert room. So first thing is that so basically say before we do that, just say for example why we are creating this alert. Say for example you have an application in Azure and you're getting some HTTP responses like users complaining it's very slow or not intermittent, is crashing, problems happening. So for that reason, say for example that the infrastructure that application is being deployed on one of our virtual machine. In our case, we just pretend this is our machine. It has been deployed the code and a .NET framework and all application, everything is on this machine. So we'll set up a rule that if the CPU usage is above 70%, please send an alert to the IT team so they can look into it and fix the problem. Yeah. So this is the reason. So every time is automatically it can send you um, uh, we can configure some conditions, actions, details, tags, and review. So do this. So let's first thing is that we need to create a select the resource. So in this case we are selecting not sorry on this virtual machine. Apply that and then after that we go to condition. So we call it what condition should configure when the alert rule should trigger. So we say percentage user, yeah, and so this is the moment it is giving you what's the percentage we have. Whenever the average percentage is greater than 80%, but we'll choose say 70%. Yeah. Aggregation type. So is average operator greater than? So if it's anything greater than 70, in aggregation type is average like a sum of average of all the readings we have. So we have got static and dynamic. So in our case we're using static, and this is where it comes when to evaluate. So at the moment it means that whenever the percentage uses is above 70%, so keep checking every single minute, yeah, and give us the data. So, but this is a bit short, so we'll make this 5 minutes, yeah, and look back period. Look back period means this is a look back period or a time period to look back at each time the data is checked. For example, every 1 minute you will be looking at the part 5 minutes. This is also called aggregation granularity, but the recently changed name. So basically, if I choose this 15 minutes, say for example, so what's this mean is it is checking every 5 minutes, but do not give us the average value after 5 minutes, but give us the average value after 15 minutes. So keep checking every 5 minutes. Say for example, it checked for first 5 minutes, it was 60. Then after 10 minutes, it was like 70. Then when in 15 minutes, like it was 60. So make the average of that, then give us the data. And then if the average is above 70%, then take action. Yeah. Okay, then now we add a condition. So we select signal is percentage usage. Oops. Scope, sorry, scope was that. Next. So we choose that select so percentage usage. We already selected that. So we added the condition. Yeah. Now we go to action. So create an because we do not have an action group, so you can choose an existing one. An action group is a set of actions that can be applied to an alert rule. So we create an action group, and we can just call it a new action resource group. We call it like action underscore RG, or and region is global. So using global anywhere. Action group name, we can call it action, just call it action group, or we call it same thing, action group. You can name it what you want to, yeah. And then next notification. So this is like if our when it triggers is more than 70%, so you can notify via email or SMS. So we use email, and we can choose email and just choose whatever email at gmail.com. Yeah, and you click OK. We don't need this. We call this name email alert, right? And so next action type. So you can also take actions such as automation runbook, Azure function, event hub. At the moment, we're not looking. So these are like APIs or third part, the built-in services in Azure. So you can do things to fix this issue or alert or make it like using Azure function and automatically they can fix the issues. But we're not looking at the state, so we go to next tags. So at the moment we are creating an action group. Still, so when this action group is created, it will be applied to this alert. We don't need tag, so yes, create. So we call this action group email alert, email create. Right, so the action is created, and next details. So we call it like what kind of severity you want to give. So we just call it critical because it's above 70%, and we call it as CPU alert. Yeah, and you can just give some description. This is above 70% usage, CPU usage. Please take action. So who we are sending this information to? We will just go to, pardon. So this will go to the IT team, this email, yeah? So tags again, just don't worry about it. Review and create. So it's just giving a summary of that. So signal name is CPU usage. Operate is greater than 70%. Look back period 15. Condition 2. Actually, we created two conditions, which is we should have been creating only one. So yeah. So if you go back condition, s- oh, so how do we get rid of this condition? So I don't want this 8081 or delete here. Right, so we got now one action, CPU critical. Yes, so we got only one condition. So we accidentally created two conditions. So it's one now. Action, take action, email it to email, the regions global, all that. Yeah, just create it. Right. So this email alert is created. You can see that alerts. So alert we created. If we go to overview and alerts and go and see alert rules. Uh, this is the one we created. I think this has been created before. So if we delete this, we don't need this one. So, or we can disable it or delete it. So that's been deleted. So this is the one we just created. As you can see, this is our resource. That's our subscription. And in the subscription, this is our resource group. And we have added an action group, and it contains an email. So basically, it will send us email, and the condition is 70%, and so estimated monthly cost is 10 pence, 10 cents. Yeah, right. So what we done before, setting up an alert in Azure Monitor. We had a quick look at Azure monitoring services. Now what we're going to do, so in the second one set, when we are setting up alert, we used a static alert logic, and now we'll be using a dynamic threshold when you setting up alert. So in this way, if I show you quickly, right, if I go to my portal, let's go to our monitor. And if I go to my alert rules, just delete these ones for now. Delete, 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 delete. So basically, in if I quickly show you, when we're using dynamic threshold instead of static threshold, the Azure Monitor uses machine learning to check the historical behavioral metrics. So basically, say for example, like 5 minutes, that was I can give you, say, for example, let me go to, right, so I can just explain to you quickly. In Azure, so we used before static, yeah, and now we'll be using dynamic threshold. So say for example, you have got an application and this application is on this VM and the VPM CPU goes above 70% and we are using dynamic threshold. So it's basically like a logic to send alert, yeah. And so what it gathers the data. Say for example, we are evaluating in static. We're using, remember, evaluating for 5 minutes, and then we're looking for loopback or aggregation. That what do you call it? We are checking that the data comes every 5 minutes, but take the average of 15 minutes. But in this case, dynamic. So the data is collected for patterns, patterns and anomalies. Say for example, uh, so it like checks the deviation and it has got sensitivity such as like low sensitivity, high, and medium. And if the sensitivity, I'll show you the settings in that when you create it. So the sensitivity is high, that means it the deviations, a slight deviation, it will send you alert. Yeah. In the medium, it will like a medium kind of, it will check, making sure it is happening like more often. Then it will say if it's low, it will take more time over the time and send you alert. So this is, say for example, if I show you now. So in dynamic threshold, monitor uses machine learning. It's like artificial intelligence to check the historical behavior of metrics. Based on the historical data, it can then identify patterns and anomalies that could indicate possible issue. Yeah. And say for example, so like as I just discussed, sensitivity. So if the alert rule will be triggered for smallest deviations. Medium, here you have more balanced threshold and fewer alerts will be generated. If the sensitivity is low, we'll have triggered only large deviations. So when I mean by deviations, so these are deviations. See, going peak, high, low. Yeah. So like this line, for example, machine learning or AI in Azure monitoring, it will check the data all this the whole path of this time and check the pattern, what is happening, and then send you according to the sensitivity, the alert to the IT team. Okay, so let's do quickly. If I refresh this, so I've got no alert here. If I go to monitor, let me check. It's recording. Yes. So if we go to create alert rule, and same again, we'll select scope first, select resource. So this is our resource group, and I'm selecting my virtual machine and apply. So just pretend this web application is deployed onto this virtual machine infrastructure, yeah? And you want to create an alert if the CPU goes above 70%. Okay, we review and create. So next condition. So you can select a signal. We use percentage CPU. So it's average greater than, we make it 70. And this time we're using dynamic. Yeah, greater or less than. So this is a sensitivity, like I said before, low, medium, high. So we choose medium. Medium, it's like over the time. So whenever the average percentage is greater or less than dynamic threshold, it will give you alert. So we choose this for 5 minutes. So same thing again, loop back period, we make it 15. So whatever data is calculated in last 15 interval every 5 minutes, then send and make an average of all together in 15 minutes and send us alert. And next we do, and the signal is percentage usage, alert. We create an, again, select an action group. Sorry, my apologies, not selection because we deleted that. Actually, we have this action group created already. So we use this one. Remember, we created email, what and all that. So we use this action group, select that, and details. So we call it as in critical because we don't want. So we call the alert rule um, dynamic dynamic threshold CPU alert. Yep. And do next. Next. Don't worry about tags. Create. So if you go to our alerts and refresh it, takes time. Yes, we go. See? So dynamic threshold CPU alert, we created that. And history, if you go to no result overview is, and this is the one we created, name action group and notify by email, percentage usage greater than dynamic threshold, settings, log, alert rule configuration, action groups. So we're using this action group, email. So that's the way to use a dynamic threshold and a static threshold. All right. Right. And now we have discussed about Azure monitoring, setting up an alert, setting up a static alert, setting up a dynamic threshold. Now we're going to talk about log analytics. Log analytics is like a central repository where you store all your logs. Yeah, it's like a storing logs, such as remember, like a centralized repository we use so all our colleagues can access all our repos in Azure DevOps, such as Docker Hub, such as we can access container registries and things like that. So this is for all your, so anything you do with your resources, any information that all everything has been logged, and we can directly use that to store that logs into our log analytics. This one, yeah. So like I said, this is central solution for all your logs. Say for example, you can store logs for your virtual machines, your SQL database, uh, your even also your on-premises service, yeah, and so you can use also a language which is called custom query language, and we can call it KKL. So this is like a language we use in our Log Analytics Workspace to refine or search certain kind of logs. Yeah. So in our next section, we'll implement this log analytics and see how it works. So right. So back again. So as you know, we have looked into monitoring services. We're setting up alert as a static and threshold. We also looked at setting up on alert on virtual machine. Now, as you know, we will talk about log analytic workspace. And we discussed about log analytic workspace. It's like a central repository. You can send logs to this log analytic workspace, and you can use on-premises resources, virtual machines, anything on portal or Azure databases, and then you can use a custom query language KKL to search certain types of logs you are interested in. And so we do all this in a lab. So we go to our portal, go to home. Let me see this record. Yes. So we create a resource, type in log analytic workspace, and we create that, create it, and we just use a new one, so we'll delete it later on. We call it log in a log analytic workspace. And we also call it cache uh, cache log analytic works log LAW workspace. So LAW stands for log analytic workspace. Yeah, region south, and just do tags. We don't worry about tags. And let's create that. Right, if we go to, so we can see our log analytics created, go to resource, and you can see that it's called cache log analytic workspace. Right now, as you can see, if we go to settings and classic, so there are lots of things you can do in log analytic workspace. So all the menu has been changed recently. So if we go to data management, maybe there is data export. Right, so this is our log analytic workspace created. It's all has been changed, just it never used to be like this, but let's find out. So we go to settings and go to data export. No, not data export. What was it? Agents? Yes. So basically, we need to connect our resource to our log analytic workspace. And when we create log analytic workspace, and after that, we have to install an agent onto that resource. In this way, it connects to that resource and get the data from and copy over to log analytic workspace. For that reason, say for example, if you're doing on premises, you can copy that workspace ID and all that method and do manually. Now we are already in Azure portal, so we need to have a Azure Monitor agent. You want to set up the new Azure Monitor agent. Agent is like a piece of software. It will be installed on the virtual machine, and it's like say for example, you have got an agent, a travel agent. When you buy a ticket airlines, you go to the agent, so he will buy for you and do all the processing for you. So same thing, we need an agent to have our collection of data, uh, piece of software installed over onto resources. So we create a data collection rule, and then we create a collection data rule, and we call it collection collection rule A, and this is our resource group, and choose our region, which is UK South. This is a bit optional, which is like data collection endpoint option for collecting Windows event logs. We don't using it. So go to next, and we add resources. So this is where you add your resource, such as in our case is our virtual machine. And if we, so this is our virtual machine. Yeah, and we apply that. Next, collect and deliver. Collect and deliver. So we so configure which data sources to, so what do you want to collect from this machine? Yeah. So we want to collect if it's Windows event logs. If you remember in Windows machine, you can have event logs. You can check all the critical security stuff like that. So same thing in our Azure portal. So for just choose for application like any warnings or security, audit success, audit failures. This one you can choose system critical. Now we choose destination where you're gonna store them. So basically you're collecting these data and where you're sending it to. Have a guess where you're sending it to our Log Analytics Workspace. So we choose an Azure Monitor logs, and destination is our Log Analytics Workspace. Add data source. Now we got this. Now next tags. Review in create, and it will take about 15 20 10 15 minutes before it accumulates and get connected to our data virtual machine and gives us the data. So if we go to our resources, and so if we go to our uh, Log Analytic Workspace, right, so I think we have to wait for 15 20 minutes. So that was directly we configure our resource, which was virtual machine, and we created a data collection rule and events and everything. It will pass that data to our log analytic website. But there's another way we can do directly from resource. To do that, let's create a quickly an Azure SQL DB. Yeah, SQL database. So quickly create that in SQL database. Create that, and we just choose our this log analytic workspace, and we call it cache db, and okay, just create a let's create that again. 1 second. We choose this resource group say log Analytics Workspace, enter cache DB. Okay, we have to. I think we have to create a server. Of course, with our server we cannot have a database. So cache SQL SVR, and we choose UK South, and we use authentication method, and we call it SQL user, and we won't be needing it, but we have to fill it. Three, click OK. Networking. Yes. Public endpoint. Just yes. And go to one using it. Next step, create, and create. Let's come back when it's created. Right, so let's see, is that's been created? Yes, is the SQL has been created. So now instead of using log analytics, we can directly configure from the resource to send the logs to our log analytics workspace. If you just search for diagnostic setting, diagnostic setting, yeah. Go to we can add a diagnostic setting and just say all logs, yeah. And we call it name SQL DB diagnostic setting, and diagnosis setting. Send to Analytic Workspace, and we choose this one. Okay, and save it. Right, so this is, we connected all the logs and sending it to our Log Analytic Workspace. So let's go back to our Log Analytic Workspace. If I go to Overview and go to, let me refresh it, and go back to our Log Analytic Workspace logs, and so this is our so we select what scope we chose. So in our case, we have cache DB, which is, and our virtual machine, and apply. So we got 2 DB in space, apply there, and it should see 2 selected, heartbeat, resource type. So we got right. So we've just come back after half an hour, 40 minutes, and so it should be accumulating the logs coming from Azure Virtual Machine and SQL database, the one we configured. So the way that we configure is that we did directly from Azure Log Analytic Workspace, and also we created our SQL database, and we did diagnostic settings. We use diagnostic setting and use that way. So let me go back to my Log Analytics Workspace. So I just type in Log Analytics Workspace. This is the one I just created, and if I go to my logs, log versus logs, and you can see that and this is our scope, this is our log analytics workspace. If I choose by resource type, so we got SQL database and a virtual machine. So if I go to my virtual machine, go to event and run, we can see that I'm getting the log analytics workspace for all of my virtual machines. As you can see that my virtual machine, if I go to my SQL database and just type in Azure diagnostics, yeah, and run, it should give me 1 second. So we do Azure diagnostics and run. Here we go. As you can see that this is my SQL database, and I'm getting all that diagnostic from my SQL database. Yeah, these are the logs. So I hope this video is informative. Please do not forget to subscribe and like the video and share it with your friends or colleagues. And hopefully, definitely I'll be coming with more videos. So at the moment, what we are doing, we're covering the instrumentation strategy, such as monitoring of our Azure DevOps. Speak to you soon, guys. Please take care and thank you very much. Bye for now. Thank you.